Yo, what's up guys, it's King Sean here, and in today's video, I will be handing out mid-season grades to Adam Peters' masterclass of a draft class, the 2024 draft. We are 8 games through the season, so I thought it would be the perfect time to hand out some grades, and that is what I will be doing today. But before we get into that, make sure y'all leave a like down below, subscribe, turn on notifications. I'm on the road to 4,000 subscribers. If you could hit that sub button, I'd really appreciate it. And with that out of the way, let's get straight into today's video. Before we begin, I'm not going to be going over Dom Hampton and Jordan McGee for obvious reasons. They haven't played really at all this season. Jordan McGee, that was his first game on Sunday versus the Bears, and Dominique Hampton, he's usually inactive on game day. So only going to be talking about Jayden, Johnny Newton, Luke McCaffrey, Brandon Coleman, Ben Sinnott, Javante John-Baptist, and Mikey Sanders. Still going in order, starting with Jayden, man. Jaden's been everything we could have asked for and a whole lot more, man. He's been incredible. I mean, I don't need to tell y'all, like, every Sunday, man, we watch what he does, man. He is showing why he was the best rookie from this class. Not just the best rookie quarterback, the best rookie from the 2024 draft class, man. Just came off of his first 300-yard passing performance. Hail Mary really helped him out there. Jayden, man, he's been absolutely incredible. He has a 71.8 completion percentage, which is really high for a rookie. He also has a 104.3 passer rating, 1,736 passing yards. He's averaging 217 yards a game. Would be averaging more. However, obviously he did miss the majority of the Panthers game last week. Has 7 touchdowns. He really should have more passing touchdowns because Luke McCaffrey, he's been stopped at the 1-yard line so many times this season. I mean, I want to say versus the Bucks, versus the Bengals, versus the Browns, like so many times this season, but it is what it is there. And Jayden only has 2 interceptions. So Jayden, man, he takes care of the ball. He is great at throwing the ball. And before the season, you know, people kind of question whether or not he could throw over the middle of the field, man. That hasn't been an issue. Really, all of the pre-draft concerns with Jayden, you know, throwing on the run, throwing over the middle, he can absolutely do those things, man. Does he throw to the left side of the field, which is just so stupid because you watch the games, man, he throws to the left side of the field. So those arguments were just so stupid to begin with. But, man, once again, Jayden, he's been everything we could have asked for and more. And obviously on the ground with his legs, 74 carries, 424 yards, 4 rushing touchdowns, so 11 total touchdowns on the year. So, man, Jayden, obviously he's been incredible in the running for not only Rookie of the Year, he honestly got Rookie of the Year. Like, he got Rookie of the Year. That's over with. We running for MVP now. We going for MVP now. I ain't even going to hold you. We going for MVP. Will he win it? Probably not, because the last time they gave rookie MVP was Jim Brown back way then. So doubt they give Jaden Daniels MVP if he continues to play at this high level. However, he will be in the running and he deserves to finish pretty high because he is absolutely balling. So Jayden, A plus 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 plus. How many pluses I can give, that's his grade. Next up, Johnny Newton. I'm giving Johnny Newton a solid B grade. You know, with him missing most of camp with that foot injury, the preseason with that foot injury, you know, he had to get ramped up, so he really didn't get going until yesterday. Obviously, when he came back, he showed very high motor. He was running dudes down, but we really hadn't seen him really break out yet or have a big game. Well, on Sunday versus the Bears is when he had his big game. Hopefully, his breakout game, because he had 7 pressures, 1 sack. Well, they technically didn't count the sack, which I'm not sure why. That was clearly a sack, but they counted it as a TFL or sack, whatever. Really good play by Johnny Newton to bring Caleb down in the backfield. He also had a fumble recovery, obviously, in the red zone. Had a 31.3% pass rush win rate, which is absurd for a defensive tackle, for any player really, but especially a defensive tackle. And a 90.9 pass rush grade, man. That is elite stuff right there from Johnny Newton. We picked BPA. A lot of people didn't like the pick. I honestly didn't hate the pick. You know, defensive tackle again. Yeah, we could have gone cornerback there. A receiver, maybe Adonai Mitchell, a cornerback, Kool-Aid McKinstry, Cooper DeJean. But I did not mind Adam Peters going BPA. You never want to really draft for need unless the need is BPA. Really, you always, well, most of the time you want to draft for best player available. And that is what we did. And, you know, it seems like it's paying off because Johnny Newton had that big performance Sunday versus the Bears. Even Dan Quinn said the day after that he was very impressed with Johnny Newton's performance versus the Bears, man. And us fans were too, because he absolutely dominated. He was making life really hard for Caleb. Caleb was, scrambling in the backfield, trying to find ways to get the ball out of his hands, and Johnny Newton was making it hard for him. So shout out to Johnny, man. He had a great game on Sunday, and so far in the season, I'll give him a solid B grade. Moving on, we got Mikey Sanders still, who has been getting better and better each and every week. I'm going to give him a solid B+ grade, man. Early on, first 2-3 weeks, he was struggling a little bit, not gonna lie. He was giving up a couple of touchdowns, getting beat in coverage. It wasn't great, however. I knew that Mikey would be fine because, first of all, he's a cornerback. It takes a minute for cornerbacks to really get acclimated to the NFL, to really get used to the NFL, to get settled down. And, eventually Mikey would be fine, and he was fine. I mean, over the past 3 weeks, he has an 87.9 coverage grade. That is second among all cornerbacks in the NFL. This is per PFF, which is really good. And you've seen it. I mean, versus the Bengals, he blew up that one screen pass. Versus the Cardinals, he was better at tackling and in coverage. Versus the Browns, he was good at tackling. He had his first interception versus the Ravens and had pretty solid coverage throughout that game. And versus the Panthers last week, he was really good at tackling. He had some amazing tackles and was really good in coverage. And then versus the Bears on Sunday, once again, great tackling, really good in coverage, stepping up, making big-time tackles, man. So Mikey, man, his development has gone really, really nicely. And shout out to Joe Witt Jr., and shout out to Tom Donatel. He is our DB's coach, man. They've done a good job of developing Mikey. He's gotten more and more comfortable in the system. Right now, he's playing kind of on the outside in the box, kind of mix and matching a little bit. So I kind of like that role for him. Maybe once we get a real outside corner next year, we move him back inside the slots, but we shall see full time, obviously. But right now, Mikey, he has been balling out over the past couple of weeks, really ever since the Bengals or Cardinals game, and his development has gone very nicely. So for that, I give him a B+ grade. Moving on to Ben Sinnott, and I'm gonna give Ben Sinnott a solid, let's say B or B-. I think he's been pretty solid this season. Hasn't had a ton of production on the stat sheets. Only has 2 catches for 6 yards and a touchdown. That was a really nice play design by Cliff Kingsbury against the Panthers to get Ben Sinnott his first NFL touchdown. But where Ben Sinnott has really shined is in the blocking game, man. He's thrown some nasty blocks this season versus the Bengals in Week 3, versus the Bucs in Week 1. Overall, throughout the season, man, Ben Sinnott is a great blocker. And, that's the great thing about our offense is, we're cooking right now. But we haven't even gotten guys like Ben Sinnott really involved yet. Guys like Luke McCaffrey really involved yet. When those guys get unlocked, it's going to get a whole lot scarier, man. We're going to be able to do so much more than we are already doing right now, man. So, Ben Sinnott, he hasn't been getting a whole lot of opportunities right now. But as the season goes on, he's going to get more and more. And same applies with Luke McCaffrey, who we're going to talk about in a bit. As for Brandon Coleman, obviously, he suffered a concussion versus the Panthers in Week 7. However, Brandon Coleman, his development has gone nicely so far. He's been improving every single week, man, from the Bucs game Week 1. Had some struggles early on, especially versus the Bucs and Giants. However, from the Bengals game and on, I feel like he's looked really, really good versus the Bengals. He did a good job of standing up against Trey Hendrickson, blocking him. And versus the Ravens, he was good. Versus the Cardinals, I mean, every opponent really after the Giants game, he's looked pretty solid. So I am very happy with the way Brandon Coleman's development is going. Obviously, he still had some struggles. However, he's a rookie left tackle. You're going to have some struggles. But it's looking like we got our left tackle of the future. And if we do, man, in the 3rd round, I mean, that is just crazy right there, man. So Adam Peters, that should tell you how much he cooked. But, you still got to see with Brandon Coleman. However, his development has gone nicely, and I will give him a solid B+ grade so far through the season. And then moving on to the final 2 rookies, we're going to start with Luke McCaffrey. He's had 12 receptions for 111 yards this season. I'll give Luke a solid C+ or B- grade. He hasn't been bad. Now, I do think he needs more opportunities. He's done a good job of separating this year on his routes, especially early on in this season, really. He's had some nice catches this year against the Bengals. He had that 30-yard reception from Jaden Daniels versus the Cardinals. He had that 13-yard reception. So he's had some nice receptions this year. However, I feel like he does need to get a little bit more involved more. We'd like to see more plays with him. He needs more opportunities, in my opinion. So, I feel like if we give Luke McCaffrey more opportunities, then he can make something out of those opportunities. But overall, he hasn't done a whole lot. However, I do like what I've seen from him, when he does get opportunities. Obviously, like I said, against the Bengals versus the Cardinals, feel like he needs to get a little more. And then finally, Javante John-Baptist. I give Baptiste a C+. He got injured versus the Ravens, but before the Ravens game, he was actually making a pretty good impact. You know what? I'll increase that grade to a B-. For a 7th-round pick, man, he was actually making a good impact. He was a pretty solid rotational edge rusher, has a sack on the season, was getting really good pressure versus the Bengals. He had a nice game versus the Cardinals. Feel like he was getting really good pressure before we got hurt, but he was placed on IR after the Ravens game, so, out for the next 4 weeks. So I think he has 2 weeks remaining, and then he can probably come back versus the Cowboys, which will be, pretty good. So overall, Javante John-Baptist, before he got hurt, he was actually playing some pretty good ball. He was a nice rotational piece at the edge rusher position. So once again, I'll probably give him a B- grade. So that is it for today's video. Hope you guys enjoyed. If you did, leave a like down below, subscribe, turn on notifications, comment down below your grades for each of our draft picks through the halfway point of the season. And other than that, it's been Sean, and I'm out. Peace.